From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Turning butter into art.
This year, the sculptors tried to feature butter in motion.
See what's on display at this year's Ohio State Fair. Something may be lurking out in your fields.
You need to be alert and on guard and start scouting for the tar spot.
We'll have the latest on disease pressure in the Corn Belt as we continue to learn more about the layoffs at the world's largest ag equipment maker.
We're turning internally to manage our own cost structure.
We go one-on-one with a member of John Deere's leadership team right now on AgDay.
AgDay is brought to you by Pioneer.
Ben's bins, please hold.
Yeah, Ben's has been busy all day.
Seems like no one can keep up with this new Z series. What did you all put in these seeds?
Science.
Good morning, I'm Michelle Rowe. Clinton is on vacation. We continue to follow a developing story. More layoffs at John Deere, this time involving a number of salaried workers. Here's the latest. On Wednesday, Deere notified Iowa Workforce Development that 103 workers were being laid off immediately. Of those, 34 were in Dubuque and 69 in Waterloo. The layoffs are part of a broader trend of workforce reductions at John Deere, which we've been reporting on for several months. So far this year, the ag machinery giant has cut about 1,800 jobs. In an exclusive interview, Farm Journal's Ty Morgan spoke with John Deere executive Corey Reed about the layoffs. The company has stated several times this year it was facing rising operation and manufacturing costs, along with reduced customer demand, predicting a 20% decline in sales this year compared to last year.
We're turning internally to manage our own cost structure. We don't like making workforce adjustments, we don't, but that's all about the cost structure we have so we can hold the line on cost. We're deploying more of our engineering resources to cost reduce each part without sacrificing any reliability, durability, or quality. We're doing that in a big way. We're trying to drive that quality throughout the organization and then make sure at the customer level we invest in both the people, the specialty, the infrastructure, and the dealer organization in a way that keeps them up and running the way they want to run.
And you'll be able to hear more of Tyne's interview with Corey Reed this weekend on U.S. Farm Report, and look for more in the coming days on agweb.com and AgDay. But it's not just John Deere. We told you earlier this month about cuts at AGCO, the machinery manufacturer announcing it's filing plans to cut up to 6% of its salaried workforce, also citing weakening demand in the agriculture industry. Now it's announcing plans to sell the majority of its grain and protein business. This includes GSI Grain Bin Storage and Monitoring Technology brand. It plans to sell it to American Industrial Partners in an all-cash transaction valued at $700 million. The deal is anticipated to close before the end of the year, pending regulatory approval. Corn crop ratings have been running well above a year ago in much of the Corn Belt due to better moisture conditions. However, that also means the increased likelihood of disease. Tar spot pressure in corn is already starting to intensify and spread in many areas of Canada and the northern and eastern Corn Belt. At the Farm Journal Corn and Soybean College, agronomist Missy Bauer discussed how to use weather information to make the decision of if and when to treat. She says the inoculum is already there, but it needs the right conditions to get going. So they track average daily humidity, comparing a heavy pressure year like 2021 to a low pressure year like 2022.
So as you get daily averages that hang at 75% or above, you're going to increase the chances to end up having tar spot. So if I look from June 1st to July 22nd, we are currently averaging 75.1% here in 2024, where last year we were only at 70%, 70.5, and 22 we're at 71.6. But in 21, when we had the firestorm, we were averaging just shy of 79%. So we're still not quite at the levels of 21, but we're certainly higher than we've been at the last two seasons.
Bauer says this information is critical for producers to determine the level of tar spot in corn and the timing of fungicide applications to help preserve yield.
What does this mean for your farm? You need to be alert and on guard and start scouting for the tar spot. Make your decisions on fungicide timings and what you're going to do to treat, but have all your plans in place.
Bauer emphasizes the weather data is certainly indicating that growers in the susceptible areas of the Corn Belt need to be ready for tar spot in their corn crop. And it looks like rain is in the forecast over the next few days in the Midwest. Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht joins us with more.
Yeah, in terms of the rain chances, mainly into the southern parts of the Midwest, so we're continuing to see the rain chances over the same locations day after day after day. This is Friday at 7 a.m. Start to see more rain, more moisture come in from the south up to the southwest. So that includes the Gulf Coast states. Back up here to the north, we have a ridge building here, and between that ridge and this trough back up into Canada, that's where you start to see again some rain chances back in the Dakotas, possibly into Minnesota. That's going to be Friday and into early Saturday morning with those rain chances. Otherwise, rain sticking around parts of the southeast. Look how things are starting to clear out, both into upstate New York, but also into the Midwest Saturday and also a little bit into Sunday. Start to turn the corner on the forecast and open up the moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. So what you start to see is the cloud cover initially, this is Sunday at 6 a.m., initially come in from the south all the way to the north. That's a lot of juicy air moving from the south to the north. And from that point forward, rain chances will be around. And we are loving this video from Kentucky. It looks like a great wheat harvest so far in New Haven. He titled his video, Quint Pottinger titled this video, Golden Waves. Beautiful to see. I'll have more on your forecast coming up.
The Wheat Quality Council's Hard Spring Wheat and Durham Tour is wrapped up. And here's a look at day 2 results. Scouts again finding strong yield potential, this time touring north central and northwestern North Dakota. Samples collected averaged 53.7 bushels per acre. That's up from 45.7 bushels to the acre on a similar route last year. Scouts again noted the presence of scab, though they weren't certain about the impact to yields. We'll bring you the final results Monday on Ag Day. Happening right now, nearly 80 active wildfires are burning in the U.S. One of them, the Park Fire, raging in California, exploded overnight, growing 7 times larger in just over 4 hours. As Michael Yoshida reports, crews are also still working to contain the country's largest wildfire in eastern Oregon.
The Park Fire in California exploding overnight, growing to more than 45,000 acres in just 4 hours, fueled by temperatures topping 100 degrees and wind gusts between 20 and 25 miles per hour.
The size of these embers are like dollar bills and they're hot.
The fire has burned an average of 50 football fields per minute since it started Wednesday. Mandatory evacuations have been ordered in Butte County, where the state's deadliest wildfire, the Camp Fire, killed more than 80 people in 2018. Across the western United States, first responders are battling dozens of wildfires. In Oregon, the Durkee Fire remains the largest in the country, forcing some to evacuate.
It wasn't a knock, it was a pound. A pound, 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 pound. Opened up the door. Get out now, leave now.
High temps, extremely dry conditions, and strong winds are fueling the fire, which has injured people and destroyed homes and other structures. The Red Cross has set up an evacuation center to provide displaced residents with food, supplies, and a place to stay.
I'd bring records, just be on the safe side. And any special medications, they should definitely bring those as well.
And across the border, a fast-moving wildfire scorched the town of Jasper, Alberta, and the largest national park in the Canadian Rockies. Thousands of people, including tourists, forced to flee as the fire caused significant damage. I'm Michael Yoshida reporting for Ag Day.
The state of Colorado is ramping up its testing for H5N1. The state now requiring dairies to test milk supplies for the avian flu virus every week. The new mandate aims to identify additional farms that could be infected and spread the disease to other dairies or poultry flocks. Colorado has confirmed infections in 4 dairy herds since the U.S. outbreak in dairy cows began in late March, with about 60% of its cases detected in the past month. Reuters reports a USDA epidemiological strike team arrived in Colorado this week to assess how the virus may be spreading among dairies. Right now, USDA is reporting 170 dairy herds are impacted by H5N1 in 13 states. Officials continue to say the risk of spreading the virus to humans remains low and the nation's milk supply is safe. Corn was up for a 4th day on Thursday and soybeans soared too. I'll have more on that and the market moves for cattle coming up. And later, how a celebration of the athletic spirit and butter have come together to make amazing art in the country. The merger between supermarket chains Kroger and Albertsons is on hold for now. A Colorado judge issuing an order temporarily blocking the proposed $25 billion deal. That hold will be in effect until the ruling is made on Colorado's lawsuit over the merger. The state's attorney general filing suit in February, saying the merger would eliminate head-to-head competition between the two companies and consolidate an already heavily concentrated market, calling the deal bad for shoppers, workers, farmers, and suppliers. Now, the merger has been in the works since October of 2022, with Kroger announcing it had agreed to purchase Albertsons. The Colorado case is now scheduled to go to trial in the fall. Row crops and cattle, nice rally on Thursday. Jim McCormick with agmarket.net joins us with analysis. So the row crops, have we been putting weather premium into those markets, or has this been mostly a technical move, Jim?
It's a little bit of both, Michelle. There's no doubt about it. We've seen the weather maps flip coming out of the weekend. We have got some intense heat coming into the Western Corn Belt, triple digit temperatures coming in. Not a lot of rain. Now, you are going to get rain in the eastern part of the Corn Belt as we get to ridge riders, but some of the most extreme heat of the year. So we are putting some weather premium in, especially in the beans, knowing that beans are made or broke in August. But you're also getting some technical short covering by the funds, who are carrying a record short position as of last week in the beans and the second largest short position in the corn. So that's also adding a little bit of fuel to the fire as they get out of their positions.
And speaking of that, Jim, you've gotten both December corn and November beans above these 20-day moving averages finally, but technically, where do we need to go for the funds to keep covering their shorts?
If you get this East corn to take out 26.5, the high from a few days ago, I think you're going to probably see this market run maybe another 20 cents back up toward 440 zone. That is where the downtrend line is. I think that's your first move on the corn. On the beans, if we can get up through 86 level roughly on the Nove, that takes out the downtrend line, and that, believe it or not, Michelle, could push you back up toward around the 1130 level, which is about a 50% retracement from the Memorial Day high to the low made last week, as well as the 50-day moving average. So those are our targets. If the heat stays in and stays dry, I think those are legit.
Cattle had a nice up day on Thursday as well. We did see some 190 cash in the south, so that was part of it, but it wasn't just that, was it?
No, it wasn't. We've got a very, very strong GDP. Came in a lot stronger than people were thinking, 2.8. That shows us the consumer continues to spend besides what people are thinking. So a strong consumer combined with a tight supply of cattle, you got the higher prices.
You bet. Do you think we'll go and take out the July 5th high in the August? It's been kind of leading things here.
Right now, the charts suggest they're going to. We've had another strong close, so I would expect that to happen, actually, Michelle.
All right, thanks so much for joining us. Jim McCormick with agmarket.net, and we'll have more AgDay coming up.
Well, that jet stream already starting to show signs of how things are going to open up for higher humidity and heat across a good portion of the United States. You see how this line goes all the way back up here to the north. So that's a ridge starting to build. But more importantly, the strength of the ridge can be found back out here towards the west. What this is going to do is open things up for the Gulf of Mexico, and a lot of that high juicy air, the high dew point juicy air is going to be moving from the south to the north Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it's going to linger. Now you can kind of see how this line goes down here to the south like this. Well, you're opening things up from the Gulf of Mexico to where nearly 2/3 of the United States will be looking at very sticky, steamy conditions to go along with some heavier downpours. As it stands right now, Sunday, Monday, and into Tuesday, severe weather threat is relatively low, but what is going to be elevated is the flash flooding potential in portions of the United States. Again, that all has to do with that combination with the heat and the high humidity. Now, by Monday and Tuesday, we're not weakening this pattern or moving it around. Just kind of reinforces itself with this ridge of high pressure. A few little pieces of energy work through the jet stream as a weak trough, which is going to try and cool things down back into the Midwest and to the Northeast by next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. If this ridge stays strong over the Southeast, that trough is going to skip to the north and limit any kind of cooling into the Midwest. But right now, what you're starting to see is that ridge breaking and then retreating, retrograding back here to the west, which would open things up for 2/3 of the United States for some slightly cooler temperatures next Saturday and Sunday. So again, long-term pattern keeps the heat around. It's more about who gets the breaks here and there. And I'm not talking about 4 or 5 day breaks from the heat. It's more like maybe 1 or 2 days a break here and there from the heat. So let's look over it again. This is Friday at 7 o'clock in the morning. As we get into Sunday and Monday, that's where you start to see that moisture. I mean, it's always going to be there in the southeast, but watch how far north that cloud cover, but also that rain starts to develop and move from the south to the north as we get into the tail end of the weekend. And you can see that just by not only the rain, but into the gray, which is that cloud cover as well. That's Sunday at 5 a.m. We'll start off with Jal, New Mexico. Bottom right-hand corner of your screen, sunny. High around 97 degrees, low of 72 degrees. Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. Mostly sunny, high around 81, low of 56. Medway, Massachusetts. Mostly sunny, high of 83.
There's so much information for farmers at their fingertips these days. We look at some new technology to help boil it down. And later, a tradition returns to the Ohio State Fair. We look at this year's butter sculpture in the country. Farmers and agronomists have access to a lot of data these days, and now one company says it's taking all that information and boiling it down into one software program. The program is called Synthesis. It was created by Landis, an American invention company, Tesseract Ventures. Landis says Synthesis takes information from satellites, drones, on-farm sensors, weather stations, and even farm machinery, and using advanced military intelligence, takes all of that information for a select field or operation and combines it into 3 different modules. Farmers can then use that information to run virtual simulations of their fields. One leader with Tesseract says farmers can now visualize the past and present with real-time data and then envision future events and their impact before they happen. And another AI tool for farmers, and it's free. It's called the AgriSearch Assistant AI. The tool is available to all ChatGPT users. It was created by Stratovation Group. The company is saying it wanted to make a tool for the industry that makes it easier to aggregate, find, and use a lot of the data that's already coming from credible sources. Officials say they hope it brings information to people trying to solve ag problems faster. It uses information from USDA, NASS, as well as the Economic Research Service, along with land-grant universities. The opening ceremonies for the Olympic Games in Paris start today. And what better way to celebrate than with butter? We'll check out this inspiring display in the country. One of the best kept secrets at the Ohio State Fair has been unveiled. 2,000 pounds of butter has been carefully sculpted to depict a snapshot of our nation's top athletes moving to victory. But as Barb Consiglio tells us, the ultimate champion is always the butter cow herself, as you'll see in this report provided by the American Dairy Association Mideast.
The butter cow has been around for more than a century, but this year she's got some new hardware.
You might notice that the butter cow and calf are wearing butter medallions because on a dairy farm, they're the MVP.
The champion butter cow and calf proudly stand alongside life-size butter sculptures of our nation's elite athletes, including a track and field para-athlete at the starting line, a gymnast doing a handstand on a balance beam, a high jumper clearing the bar, and a cyclist rounding a curve.
We have a hidden armature underneath that holds the biker as he leans into a curve, seemingly off balance and conveying motion.
This butter balancing act was engineered by a team of technical sculptors who spent 450 hours, most inside a 46-degree cooler, building, shaping, and chiseling the best of the best in butter to capture them zooming, flipping, and jumping to glory.
He's kind of hanging from the wall like Spider-Man, but it appears that he's jumping over the bar back first.
The display, presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast on behalf of Ohio's dairy farmers, honors the hard work and dedication of athletes who rise to the highest level of competition, fueled by a nutritious diet.
Milk, cheese, and yogurt are sources of high-quality protein, which are essential for an active lifestyle.
As we watch them strive for excellence, the accomplishments of these athletes inspire us all to chase our dreams. At the Ohio State Fair, I'm Barb Consiglio.
Our thanks to the American Dairy Association Mideast for sharing that story. You can see those buttery masterpieces in person at the Ohio State Fair now through August 4th. Well, that's all the time we have for this morning. Thanks for watching. For all of us at AgDay, I'm Michelle Rook. Have yourself a great day.